Hello, Tennessee. Welcome once again to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagy. They are the co-founders of Allon Planning Partners, financial advisors themselves. I am your host, Spike Spangle. Jay and Brittany, as I always do, I'll ask you what's on your minds this week financially.
Well, what's on my mind is clearing up some miscommunications or misconceptions of finances. So myth busting is what's on my mind.
All right.
How do we take care
myth
of
busting?
So how do we take care of understanding some financial concepts a little bit better? So.
All right. Wow. Well, there's a lot to that. And when it comes to retirement planning, just know that you're not alone. One of the reasons that Jay and Brittany love doing these programs, their live events, their weekly radio show, is to provide as much retirement planning information to you, our viewers. Throughout the program, throughout the week, always feel free to call this phone number so you can get started on your own complete retirement plan. Let's start with different types of accounts. Do people feel that certain accounts are safer than others, and is there truth or mystery behind that?
You would be surprised at the times that we've had folks equate the type of account, whether it's an IRA versus a Roth versus a 401k, with the amount of risk that it holds. And so we have to separate those two for folks. We had a lady come into the office a couple weeks back and she said, I want one of those Roth IRAs. And we're like, great, you know, it's a great vehicle. She said, no, it's got so much less risk and that's what I want. And so we had to explain that the type of vehicle does not equate the risk that's involved in that vehicle. Allocation, the way you're positioned in any vehicle, is what causes risk or safety.
Well, now I'm curious. Why did she think that a Roth had less risk than other kinds of accounts?
Well, there's a
I
lot
can answer
of
that. That's because there are a million misconceptions within our industry, all over the board, which is why we wanted to do this show today.
Let's clear some of this up.
Yeah, so much is so misunderstood when it comes to finance and investing and retirement, and it's easy to misunderstand. It's a lot of these terms can be confusing, and even like tax law and all of the things that come together to produce a financial plan can be confusing. And so let's talk about those things that cause some confusion.
Yeah, and so technically, whether it's an IRA, a 401k, or a Roth IRA, you can hold the same positions in all three. You can carry the exact same risk level to all three, but some folks, you know, may get in their mind or may have heard, oh man, I really need a Roth account. I've got a 401k at work, I've got an IRA, I don't have a Roth, and somehow equate Roth to less risk. And so we wanted to go ahead and bust that one today and say, listen, it's a great vehicle to have. A Roth is a wonderful instrument to progress your financial picture, but it does not equate to the amount of risk that you're taking.
Exactly.
I'm going to throw an add-on to that one because I think I hear about this a lot as well. Folks will say, I make too much money to contribute to the Roth. That's only on the outside in a Roth. That does not include contributing to a Roth 401k.
Yeah, and if I would dig into this, if you are a high income earner, look into what your employer offers, because many employers do offer a Roth option for your 401k plan. So if you make more than the threshold or the income limits to contribute to a Roth, you can still contribute to a Roth 401k if your employer offers that option.
A lot of folks don't know that.
Right, and it's not the outside money when you're trying to contribute, and I think
a Roth IRA outside
something
of a
like
401k
over $140,000 a year.
As an individual, it's almost $200,000.
The threshold limits begin for married couples at $218,000 a year.
Okay, all right. But if you see that Roth, because I've heard this a lot. Oh, I saw the Roth at my work account, but I can't contribute to that.
You absolutely can. It does not matter what you make. You can contribute to a Roth 401k, and so you need to dig into your employee-sponsored plan and see if that's offered.
Yeah.
Now, this, I can understand why you may or may not want to bust this myth, but I've got multiple accounts at different advisors, different custodians, different wirehouses, whatever you want to call them, and therefore I feel like I'm diversified. Because I've got my money in different places. I don't want, you guys always say, or people on TV I hear say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Should you do the same thing investing?
That is true, but there again, diversification in an investment standpoint is much different than I have multiple accounts at different places, because I can hold multiple accounts at different custodians, at different banks, or whatever it may be, and hold the exact same positions in each one of those, or hold multiple mutual funds that have the exact same stocks and bonds in them, right? And they're correlated in the same direction, and really not have the diversification that I think I have, because they're holding the same positions.
And that's what I wanted to speak to when it comes to this myth, is how your assets are correlated. A lot of people may or may not understand, well, what does it mean if my assets are over correlated? What you don't want is all your assets moving in the same direction at the same time. If your assets are moving in the same direction at the same time, then you are not diversified.
Unless you're very aggressive, then go ahead and push all the assets in at one time. But it's if you're going to be conservative.
But then you won't be diversified.
That's right. You will not be diversified.
If you're seeking diversification, then you don't want your assets to be correlated to where they're all moving together. If they're all stocks going up, everything's going up. You know, all invested in bonds and everything declines. You don't want them moving in the same direction at the same time. That's what you want to try and prevent. That's what really offers diversification.
Worried about with somebody having different accounts at different custodians, that they probably have a lot of overlap in. They think that they're diversified. Well, they're going to invest it differently. They're going to invest it differently. But do you find that they're often a lot of the same kinds of funds?
I've had folks come in and literally put a pile of paper on my desk and say, here are all the accounts that I have, and they feel like that I'm going to smile and say, man, you're really diversified because you have 6 IRAs and 4 401ks from old companies. And I literally will dig through the allocation buckets and show them, you are poorly positioned because you're not diversified at all. You're actually in the same holdings. They mirror each other.
Exactly.
And so it's not just about how many accounts I hold, it's about what positions I'm holding in those accounts. Right?
Yeah.
That's what really matters.
Yeah. And now, so do you then, how do you review that with that stack of paper? Do you scan that all in? Do you have software that helps you do that?
So we walk through each position that everyone that comes in, and we give a complimentary review of your portfolio. If you have that stack of paper, bring it into us. Let us look at it. We will go through position by position and take a look at how you're allocated, what risk you're really taking, because a lot of folks don't really know the risk that they're taking, the return that you're truly getting, the fees that you're paying. We're going to dig through all of that, and we're going to show you a true apples to apples comparison of what it may look like to work with a fiduciary advisor who is working on the same side of the table as you and not on the opposite side, right? And so if you bring that stack of paper in, we're going to go line by line in every position, and we're going to show you how diversified you are or are not, depending on the correlation value. And we're going to give you an idea of how much risk you're actually taking, which I see as a huge factor in most people's portfolios.
And that appointment is completely complimentary. That is what we are offering today, that complimentary review to analyze your entire situation, to bring that stack of statements to us that you feel like may be a little, maybe even you feel is a mess or not really put together or maybe unorganized. You don't know where things are. We'll help you navigate through that. We'll help you sort all of that out and put together a true analysis of what you're paying in fees, what your risk tolerance is, and give you that full written financial plan. You need a written financial plan. Give us a call, 866-691-7317, or use the QR code you see on the screen and link directly to our website where you can schedule your complimentary consultation without even picking up the phone.
More financial myth busting when we get back with Jay and Brittany Hagy of Allon Planning Partners. Call the phone number you see right here. Use that QR code. You need a written financial plan for retirement. It starts right here, and it's complimentary for our viewers. More right after this.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter, the one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagy. They're the co-founders of Allon Planning Partners. I'm your host, Spike Spangle, and every week we try to help you with retirement planning solutions. And today is Mythbusters, and there's just so many different confusing elements. I think sometimes Wall Street likes that it's confusing.
Yeah.
People try to untangle this stuff, but people
A lot of advisors like that it's confusing.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's
Honestly,
like, oh,
they
well,
do.
at least I know that they have to call us, and you like to simplify it, and that's literally why I like sitting in this chair.
That's right.
And speaking of simplification, this is something that maybe we've said to our own partners, that if the spouse handles the finances in my home, I don't have to be involved. How do you both feel about that?
That
Big myth.
is a big myth. That is
Yeah.
a huge myth. We sat down with a couple recently who was in this situation where one spouse handled the finances and the other was, even during the meeting, really you could
Very
tell
disengaged.
like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't really want to be here. But we were able to communicate the importance and the value of that spouse being present, whether it's
Yeah.
the man or the woman who really manages the household finances, having the other be present and aware and understanding how the bills are paid, what we're contributing to investment accounts, how to access accounts if I need money, if something were to happen to the other. The importance of all of that, man, it makes a huge difference when both spouses are informed, not to mention, honestly, the joy of walking the journey together
do it
and
together.
getting to work together
That's
as
right.
a team and working, in tandem towards these goals together. And that really does bring a joy and a sense of fulfillment to be able to do that together.
And I want to speak to the men just for a minute, because you may want to speak to the women as well. But here's what I want to say to the men: invite your spouse into this conversation.
Yeah, it's good.
Invite them in, because if you are the one who handles the finances of your home, latest statistic I heard was a 95% chance that your spouse, the wife, will be handling the finances for your household at some point in their life. Well, because we don't live as long as our wives do. We just will not, statistically speaking. So invite them into the process. Do not keep them in the dark. Make sure that they understand, even if they're uninterested, keep them informed at least. Have a binder prepared. Make sure that they understand where your finances are. And I have a lot of women that I work with that are the head of their finances too. But today I just really wanted to encourage the men who handle the finances in your home. Invite your wives into this process, because it's a joy, not only while you're living to be able to live this together, but to make sure that they're well cared for if we predecease them.
And I want to share another story of a recent experience we had with a client. We have worked with this couple for quite some years, and the husband passed away. And of course, when that happened, the wife, of course, informed us, and we began to talk through her scenario. And she came into the office and she was in tears, and it was a really emotional time, as you can imagine. Many of you have already experienced that. But walking through that situation and talking with her, and she's like, man, I just don't know what I'm going to do. Am I going to have to move out of my house? And how am I going to get this income replaced and all this? And I had to put my hand on her hand and say, hey, we've already taken care of all that. You don't have to move out of your house.
You don't have to worry.
have income set up. You don't have to make any of those changes. Remember when we spent time planning? It was for this moment right here. And I cannot tell you the relief that just washed over her face when she realized, oh, I have planned, I have prepared for this moment, that she wasn't having to carry the emotional, struggle and difficulty in addition to the financial burden of determining what in the world am I going to do now? But she had planned before the time came, and she was so grateful in that moment that she had taken the time and effort
Absolutely.
and energy to do so.
And you have stated before that, as we know, statistically speaking, women are going to live longer. Technically speaking, they're going to live longer. And the importance for women in financial planning, period, that it's even harder, that we live longer. We have a little bit less in earnings. We have less that it goes into our own Social Security. I'd say it's almost even more important to make sure that women have a financial plan.
Absolutely, it is more important because of those factors that you just mentioned. Our working years are less due to childbearing, child rearing, caring for aging parents or family members. We take that responsibility most of the time, statistically. usually it is the female, the woman, the wife that takes on those responsibilities.
Yeah.
And that does impact your financial future. Within our own life, we have had to experience that. Me bearing our children and raising our children and focusing, so much of my time and energy on that. That does impact our business, our work, right? I did the same thing with my own grandparents, caring for them in their last months and years aging, and that does impact your ability to produce income in your household. For us, we made the decision that was more important than the income, and so of course we're going to pour into our family relationships and meet those needs and take care of those needs, while also recognizing the reality. Here is how it's impacting us, and what are we going to do about it? How are we going to be prepared, right? And so we have to acknowledge the impact that it has, or can have, and be prepared for those moments so that you're not in a position you don't want to be in if that time comes.
Jay, I think we hear this one a lot as well. And again, you have people who come into your offices all of the time, your live events, listen to your radio shows, the TV show. And do you hear the adage a lot that I have to wait to live the life that I want to until I get to retirement?
Unfortunately, that comes up a lot, and we try to bust that right away, because you can live the life you want to live now if you're doing it responsibly, right? I had a couple I met with a couple weeks back, and the wife spoke up and she said, "We're finally dinks," and I was like, "You're what?" She said, "We're finally dinks. We get to live our life." I was like, "What does that mean?" And double income and no kids. And she's like, "We finally get to live the life that we wanted to live." And I'm sitting there thinking, like, why not the last 30 years
Why did it
of
take
your
so
life?
long
Why did
to
it
get
take
to
so
this
long?
moment?
And so I was celebrating with her. I'm like, "This is great.
Sure,
you're getting to do this." And but hey, if you are in your 30s right now, you need to be coming and sitting down with us. You don't need to wait until you're 60 to plan these things. If you're 60, don't wait any longer to plan for these things. Come and sit down with us. You do not have to wait until, man, I can't wait until I clock out of this job for the last time before I can finally start to live. We can help with that process of what that looks like to thrive in the season that you're in right now.
That's right. Not just in the future, not just in retirement. That's obviously a focus of our discussion today. But no matter what season you're in, you can thrive. You can enjoy the season you're in as you prepare for it.
And just on the flip side, I've also heard some people say that, I can't live the life I want to until I get to retirement. And even when they get to retirement, they have a hard time spending that money.
Okay, not just even when they get to retirement, but what if they get to retirement?
Yeah.
We talk about the ifs, the what ifs. What if something happens and you don't get there?
That's right.
And you're not able to enjoy the life you want with your spouse or with your kids, right? You've got to build in these celebration points along the way. You've got to be willing to release the purse strings on some things, to pour back into spending, to enjoy that life that you want to live, not just in the future, but now. And that looks different for every family, right? It just does. It looks different for every household. Whatever that looks like for you, take the time and energy, pour into the people you love, pour into those within your household, within your family, and enjoy the now, not just looking ahead to one day I'll do this, one day I'll plan, one day I'll celebrate and travel the world, one day I'll give to this, that. Today, make today the day that you make a change.
I'm going to do that myself. Make today the day that you pick up that phone number, folks. Get your own complete financial plan, a written financial plan put together by the team here at Allon Planning Partners, Jay and Brittany. Don't wait for tomorrow to start your retirement planning, to start your dream planning. Do it right now. Do it today. Call 866-691-7317. More retirement myths busted when we get back right after this break.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carol and 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there, be square. Happy birthday to you. you can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion...
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagy. They are the co-founders of Allon Planning Partners. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. Today we're busting the myths of retirement.
And enjoying it.
And enjoying it,
That's
right?
right.
You know, well, because you literally have folks coming into your offices all of the time. This is what you do.
Yes.
And just to be able to share the things, the worries, those concerns that everybody has. We're not making
good.
fun of anybody. We're saying we understand this. In fact, that's one of the reasons you like doing the live events. Because when
Absolutely.
people say, well, I heard that Roths are more safe, you're like, why? What are you talking about? When we share that, it just starts to bring out everybody else's worries
That's right.
and concerns and fears.
That's right.
And this one, you know what? I hear this all the time. I've done well. I've saved enough. I've got money in my 401k. The house is close to paid off. I don't need a financial advisor. I can manage this all on my own. What do you think? Is that a myth?
Well, I would say big myth, and for a few reasons, but the one big reason is you've probably been under the misconception of what a true advisor does, like a true financial planner, or you've had the wrong financial planner advisor, right? Maybe you've had someone that just talked to you about your investments and they were showing you, well, we can make you 8% where you're making 6%. Well, that's good. You know, there's a lot that goes into that, but investment management is just one piece of a full financial plan. So I would say, do you have a full, comprehensive financial plan? Because all of us need to have that. And if there's any holes of these 5 things that I'm going to list, you need to sit down with a financial advisor. So there's a myth there. The first one is investment management. We talked about that. Income planning. How am I going to take from which bucket and how am I going to make it to and through retirement? We have tax planning. That's a huge one. We could do a whole segment on tax planning because we want to save money in taxes. Do you have someone helping you with estate planning? Do you know what's going to happen if you become disabled or you're deceased, and you know, how are the assets that you have going to be passed on to the folks that you love? Do you have a health care plan? These are 5 major reasons that I tell people, and you know, there's more to the story, but you have to have all 5 of those to have a complete financial plan. And if you are lacking any one of those, then you need a financial advisor to help you with that.
Yeah, and one question I would pose too is, are you able to separate the emotions you feel from the decisions you make when it comes to your finances? Because that is so often how we operate as a behavioral coach, oftentimes when it comes to our finances, and helping people know, you know, when to not give in to being led by their emotions when they see the market going crazy. You know, when to move, when to not move, not just moving or making a change because of fear. Not allowing fear to drive your decisions, but allowing the plan and where you're headed to drive that. Because the Vanguard study, I would love to mention that. Vanguard just recently did a study that showed the value of utilizing a financial advisor improved the returns on a portfolio by 3%. And 1% of the 3 had to do with that behavioral coaching factor, knowing when to buy, when to sell, when to hold, all of that, right? Not being driven
Keeping
by
your emotions in check.
Yeah, keeping the emotions in check. And also that 3%, you know, that 3% added value may not seem like too much right now when you're looking at it that way, but added over time, plus the compound interest, man, look at the difference that can make in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, how much more a portfolio could be earning.
And people, you may be watching and you may be thinking, well, it's easy for you to say we need a financial advisor. You are a financial advisor, right? Of course we need you. But let me explain this to you. Everyone is emotional about their money. We're emotional about our money. I believe it so much that I have a financial advisor that we speak to about our financial decisions because we have attachment to our money emotionally, right?
Yeah.
We understand and know and know how to process these things, but we invite other people into the process so that we do not make emotional decisions. We invite counselors into the process to make these decisions.
Because our emotions can...
We believe in it.
Yeah, our emotions can blur what's really happening. It can skew the field a little bit. It's like having on goggles or glasses and, they get foggy. If your glasses your glasses get in, it just skews your field of vision. When you're able to have someone else speak into the situation who's not emotionally connected to those dollars can help you see with
one of the things you're talking about is overconfidence bias, because I've studied this as well. It's the same. As long as I'm in control, I know what I'm doing. I've got my hands in the steering wheel, therefore I'm not going to get in a car accident. And we know that's not going to be true. I want to take this just one step further, though, because I've got you here as a couple. You're talking about emotions, you're talking about investing, we're talking about putting together a financial plan. But what about the other power of powers of attorney? Not having to make those kinds of emotional decisions. I mean, so you don't just talk about the investing. The entire financial plan has so many other elements to it.
That's right.
Do you discuss
Absolutely,
powers of attorney and those physical decisions that we're going to make later?
Yeah, we are not estate planning attorneys. We do not write these documents up for our clients. But what we do is provide these professionals for our clients. So we sit down with our clients and an estate planning attorney. If you have one, great. If you do not, we help provide you one. We have two in our office that we work with. And so we want to make sure that you have the correct documents, whether that's power of attorney for healthcare or financial. Maybe you need a will written up. Maybe you need a trust. Maybe your plan's a little bit more complex and you need to have a trust-based plan. We want to make sure that we cover those areas too, because we all need to take the emotion out of it when it comes to those times in life that we understand how it's going to function.
Brittany, we're going to have to close the show up here in a couple of minutes, but I know this was important to you as well. Physical health and financial health have nothing to do with each other. Agree or disagree? Close the show.
Absolutely disagree. Yeah, that's something that a lot of people, think that, they're totally unrelated. But 60% of Americans fear or are anxious about their finances. Think about how when you feel anxious and your stomach gets upset and then you have a headache and then you're stressed out and you don't eat and that makes your blood sugar go crazy. It impacts, you lose sleep and then you can't perform in your job and it impacts your income. Man, it's a variety of factors. We have an individual that we consulted with last week who makes over 6 figures in their income, very robust income, but their debt level is double that. I mean, it's massive. And so they were talking about the weight and the burden that had and how that had physical implications on their body, their situation. And so they're absolutely connected. One impacts the other, and you really can't separate the two. You got to break the cycle so that doesn't continue to perpetuate itself, right? You gotta discount the fear. You gotta deal with the fear, and so that you're not up worried, not wringing your hands stressed out. And that is why we offer this complimentary consultation.
That's right.
866-691-7317. Call that number or use the link on our QR code right there to schedule your complimentary consultation today. We'll do the complimentary portfolio analysis, take a look at everything regarding your situation to ensure you are set up for financial success.
Jay and Brittany, thank you so much for taking the viewers here through some of the financial myths of retirement. As Brittany was just saying, call the phone number you see down here, use that QR code so you can get started on your own written financial plan for retirement. Thank you for watching the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagy. We'll be back next week.